Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo, and today's lesson is about how to start a business with no money without getting into debt. So let me roll back the curtains and explain to you how I personally started a business with only $100 and not have to borrow any money and didn't even know the idea. Now, if you don't know what to do, that's not a problem. You live in America. And the secret of starting a business in America without getting in debt, even if you don't know what to do, is all about, pay attention, it's about lead production. Now, let me say that again. It's about lead production. So the way to start a business without borrowing money, without getting in debt, is by investing the time to see if there's people out there that actually want your product, that actually want your services. And the way to do that is really simple these days. For example, you can use a WordPress, or you can use like Google hosting, and create yourself a one-page website and see if you're able to generate leads from there. For example, you take your idea. For example, if you're in a photography business in this case, or you're in a real estate investor, you take your one-page website and post it on Craigslist, or you do text messaging marketing, or you do email marketing, and see if you're able to produce leads. Once you're able to produce leads, that's basically saying that there's a customer knocking on your door. Once you're able to get the customers knocking on your door, at that time, all you have to do is just open the door and let them flood in. Once you're able to do that, then you can go and learn about the business, learn about negotiation, learn about sales, learn about setting up systems, learn about your company policies and procedures, then go and buying equipment, then maybe go and getting a loan. But what happens is, in America and many other countries, is that an entrepreneur has a goal, has a dream, and the first thing they do is, let me go to bank A and borrow the money, or let me go to my mom and dad and borrow the money, or to my friends and family, or put it on my credit cards. Instead, what they need to do is use their creative thought, okay? And number two is the secret recipe. What I'm telling you is to go out there and create leads for that business or that idea before you spend any money in infrastructure or setting up corporations or anything like that. For example, in my own personal life, when I lived in my car right after college, when I graduated, only had $100, and all I knew how to do was produce leads. Once I start producing leads, for example, for a moving company, I didn't know anything about moving. I didn't know left from right from moving or anything like that, okay? And the reason I even start producing leads for a moving company is because whenever I graduated college, I was living in my car, and my cousin owned a moving company in Houston. So I decided to go out there and go do moves with them for about 2 or 3 weeks. And that's some hard shit. You know, every day we used to do 3 moves a day. And all I was a helper. And if you know what a helper is, the guy that carries all the heavy furniture. I never talked to the customer. I never interacted with them. Never talked to them over the phone to give them a quote or see how the procedures work. None of that stuff. I was just a slave, in a sense. I was just moving furniture. But I had that idea when I was being a slave, working 7 days a week. I was thinking to myself, hey man, I have a college degree. I'm smart in this. I don't want to do this slave work. Sure, I can make $600, $700 a week, and it was a lot of money considering I had no money. But you know, that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so when I came back home from doing moves all day, while my cousin would sit in front of his TV with his wife, watch TV, I would get on the internet and think about, how can I make my move? And before that, I had a website where I produced leads for personal training, and I used to, you know, sell 700 or 1500, whatever, in supplements online. But that wasn't scalable. And when I was living in my car, I read that Rich Dad Poor Dad book about the cash flow quadrant, and I really realized that, hey, I don't want to be in the S quadrant like a personal trainer, because my time is correlated to the money I'm gonna make. So I could become really successful, but I was gonna tie up my time, where I wanted to systemize it. I wanted to have other people do it. And when I was working at this moving company with my cousin, when they were watching the TV after us doing a long day with the work 7 days a week, I would get on the computer and figure out what my next move would be. And I got the idea that, and I realized moving was so much more powerful than personal training, because so many people moved a month all over. It was like a mandatory thing where personal training was like, if you were really wanted to be fit. Not everybody wanted to be fit, you know, or didn't want to do it. But moving, they had to move. And the month they had to move, the contract was expiring, rental was expiring, or they just bought a new house, so they had to move. And so while they were watching TV, I was getting on the internet and trying to figure out what can I do. And I came up with the idea of, hey, cousin, what if I was able to produce you leads in all 50 states in America? Would that work for you? And, you know, he was hesitant because, you know, internet was just barely coming out, and Yahoo was the king and not Google. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was not a search engine like a spider that crawled. It was the directories. You know, if you wanted to find a website, you would go to, let's say, fitness, and the fitness, you would go into gyms, then you click on supplements and whatever you're looking for, then it would be tons of websites to scroll down for you to find what you were looking for. It wasn't like what it is today. And I explained to him, hey, I could produce leads because I've already done it in personal training, and I made money from it, but it's not scalable like you, where we can have like 5 trucks or 10 trucks, etc. And I know you know the moving business, but I believe I could produce leads for this business, and we could do the whole America. So he laughed at my idea. He thought it was a shitty idea, but man, I knew I didn't want to do moves. I knew I was destined for better things. So I wanted to move back to Dallas, lived in my car again, and started the idea of building a website to produce leads for the moving industry. And it took about like a month, 6 weeks, when my first leads start pouring in. And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to give them quote. I didn't have no equipment. I surely didn't want to be a mover because I hated doing moves. I just did 3 weeks of being a slave, and I hated it. And I thought to myself, hey, I have a degree, I know computers, this and that. I don't want to do this. You know, back then I didn't have my mind straight. I kept thinking about how good I was instead of doing whatever is required to do it. But when that lead came in, great idea popped in my head. Said, hey, let me call a couple of moving companies and let me say, you know what? Let me sell you these leads for $200 a month. And you know what? When I called a couple of moving companies, I give them a couple of free leads. The importance of free. I give them a couple of free leads. They're able to make some money. They all called me back and wanted to sign up. Before I knew it, I had 10, 20 moving companies local in the Dallas-Fort Worth area using my company, okay? And paying me for leads. After some time went by, I started getting better on search engine optimization, SEO. People at that time didn't even know the word SEO. It wasn't even termed yet. Now everybody knows SEO. You could learn it from Harvard school, but back then, none of that shit was even a word, okay? I was riding the server technology in a sense when nobody even knew what SEO was, okay? So, coming back to the story, leads start coming in. I start selling the leads to other moving companies. One day I woke up and said, man, if everybody's paying me $200 a month, I want to know what these leads are about. I picked up the fucking one of these leads that came in. I called. I didn't know what to say. I called a couple of moving companies and pretended I was a customer to see what they say. I basically got a pitch. My first customer I booked, and roughly the first move I did was $1,200. I booked the customer. Now the problem was I didn't have no equipment. I didn't have no helpers. I didn't have no dollies. None of that shit. So what I did is I just went and rented a truck, you know, and found the helper, and boom, we went and did the move. My first move, I made $1,200. That was the most money I ever made because I was still living poor. Because at that time, even though I was making $200 per moving company for buying my leads, and it was a couple of grand, the thing was, internet was very expensive, cell phones were very expensive, my server cost me a significant amount of money, the server admin Linux support was very expensive, you know. At that time, phone internet data was very expensive, calling was very fucking expensive, so all that money was just going to this IT business where I was just producing leads. And when I first did my fucking move, when I went back and became a slave in a sense and did a move, I made $1,200. I was like, oh my god, this is the most money I ever made. I felt like I was fucking rich because I was basically living like on a $25, $100 a week budget, okay? So at that time is when I start renting equipment, and then more leads start flooding in. I start having leads in Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Florida, California. I mean, every fucking state, just like I envisioned it when I was doing these moves in a late night, 2, 3 in the morning, when my cousins are watching TV, or him and his wife, or they're in bed sleeping. I'm over here thinking about my next grind because I didn't want to be a slave and I didn't want to work for the man. So the point of the story is, gang, that A, you live in America. B, You don't need to have money, and you don't need to get in debt. It doesn't matter if you want to be a photographer, you want to start a hairstylist, you want to have a dry cleaning business, you want to have a mechanic shop, tire shop, you want to be a real estate investor. It does not matter. You want to do fitness, personal training. It does not matter. You don't need no equipment. You don't need to get in debt. All you need to do is figure out a way to create leads. Once you create leads, then everything else is going to fall in place. Then you can go borrow the equipment or have your customers fund you to get the products or to manufacture products. So end of the story, my secret recipe of making nothing into something is not to go start the storefront, not to go buy all the fixtures, not to invest in the products, none of that shit. If you have some money, like this much, a little bit, put that little money into marketing and lead production. If you don't have any money like me, that's great, because through the internet today, you could do lead production for very low amount of money, guys. Okay, or even zero, just through sweat equity, like I've shown you on my YouTube videos. If you don't know, 42 ways to get free motivated sellers, or for almost for free. Go check that video out. So end the story. What am I trying to tell you guys? Pay attention. If you want to be a real estate investor, you want to be an entrepreneur, you don't know what to do, you don't have no motherfucking money, no problem. Start being a lead producer, because when you produce leads, then you can go out to the vendors or the competitors out there and sell the leads to them. So you start making some money. Once you start making some money, then you can figure out how to take those leads and be that vendor yourself instead of just outsourcing or selling your leads. And that's the way you go from zero to something in America without no money, no equipment, no nothing. It's through your customers financing you. When a customer called me, I didn't have the money to get a truck. I said, hey, it's $1,200. They said, okay. I said, there's a deposit. I took that deposit and used it to get a rental truck. Then I put my sweat equity in and then turned that money, zero money, into $1,200, and then from there I had some money. Now I provided free boxes to my customers. And if you don't know the power of free, you need to check out my other video. Gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo. Go out there and hustle and bustle. Don't take no for an answer. Don't listen to motherfuckers tell you you can't do it, because your friends, if your family, most likely is them that are telling you can't do it. Just go and do it. I believe in you. You can do it. And gang, if you like these videos, please like, please share, and please comment. Have a great day, and go make it happen for yourself.